Get the recording going. It is March the 10th, the 6:45 late webinar. So today we're going to be going over a full race night, including bag gate entry, creating lineups, connecting MRP live, results, points and payout, printing checks, and common questions. So we are going to be doing a few different things here. I'm going to be trying to mix up the different lineups and things that I've done. So I think last time I did the qualifying, I did a qualifying lineup. So I'm trying to mix these up from Wednesday and Saturday. If you do have any questions, Alt-H is the place to ask those questions. You are able to ask those to me kind of anonymously. So feel free to do that. If you do have any questions, again, feel free. If you have a question, odds are someone else has that question as well. So let's get started. So we're going to be going into our race management, and I'm going to work in the 360 sprint class today. And inside of this class, we have a few different options for things that we can do. So we can do different things with pill draw and different things with transponders. So some of the different options are to do no pill draw at all. We do the fast check-in process where it's just going to select a number for me without me having to do anything. I can have the driver hit a button and I'll draw a number. We can do that before or after the driver checks in. We also can do it manually if we want to as well. So inside of here, if we're having the system draw, we can set that number to, it's going to default to 100, but we can set that higher or lower if we'd like. We also can do a rebase pill. So what this is going to do is it's going to set a new low number. So if we set that to 5, 5 would be the best number that you could draw, 4 would be the worst number that you could draw. So it kind of wraps around there. We also have the transponder options available here, so we can do no transponder. We can allow rentals or not, and that'll have a little checkbox here, which is useful for the transponder list report. That's available right here. Each class individually is going to have its own things that we can do. We can also set it as a default. You probably won't be going to this page too often throughout the year. It's probably going to be pretty set. But if you do need to, you do have the option here. You can always go back to it, however you need to. We're going to go into MRP Live. I connected it in the last webinar, so yours might look a little bit different, but it won't have this connected already. But let's assume we're connecting it fresh. We'll see a few things here. So I'm going to start with Westhold. I'm going to do the heats inside of that, and then we'll do the feature inside of orbits. So in the settings page, I have copied this IP address. This number is going to be different between the two of us. And then we also have the TCP IP port at 50,000. We have that available right here. We do have that we are using Westhold here, so make sure you select that. Inside of my computer, I have the file path going to the assigned folder inside of Race Manager. This is going to be different than, sorry, one sec here. This is going to be different for you. It might be in a different drive. Generally the C, but not all the time. We also have this MRP Live code. This code is going to be different from event to event. What I generally do is hit this launch from web. That's going to pull in that for you automatically. Or you can copy and paste it, however you want to do that. We'll hit connect. It'll connect that here, so it'll pick up what we're doing. I'm going to go over some of the other things on this screen. So we can send lineups from here. So we'll send lineups to our different things from here. Click this, send lineups. It'll do that for us. We do the best lap keywords in here. So the last time I did qualifying, um, so it actually shows that as a best lap, which will organize it by the fastest lap that they've done. And now we have it so it'll automatically do it on hot laps, qualifying, trials. If you need to change this, if your track calls that something different, we could do that here and edit the keywords and change that up for us. We also can download MRP Live from here, so if you don't have it, you can do that here. We also have the broadcast ticker. If you're having a live event, you can do that. You can have it so it'll have the ticker up at the top, or if you're having like a broadcast event. Reach out to us first, though, before you do that. There's a few things we'll need to ask with the broadcaster there we want to double check on. So the question is there any different in launch from web or using MRP Live? Launch from web is MRP Live. That just launches MRP Live. Instead of me finding it from my computer and picking it out of my list of files, it just kind of does a command where it just launches MRP Live for me. And it copies over a few key things there. So if we have it on the computer, it sort of knows what it's doing and launches it for me. So there's no difference between using MRP Live or launching from web or opening it up from your computer. I always just use launch from web because I don't want to copy and paste the big long code. But personal preference. Yep, no, and uh, if it works better for you doing it that way, then by all means, don't let me hold you down. I just that's just how I do it. Um, you know, everybody's always going to be a little bit different with how they do things, and if it works, no need to reinvent the wheel. But yeah, I recommend using the launch from web because it just pulls that code for me. We'll go into our entries next. I've worked in that 410 wing sprint class. If you're curious to know how that went, you can actually watch the YouTube video for that. It'll be available probably tomorrow morning at some point. We're to switch in between our different classes up here. So we're going to do the 360 sprints today. And I have a list of all of my drivers that have raced with me in the past. So these are drivers that have either raced last year or have done online registration. Whatever the case may be, they are on here. If you actually do want to see the full list without going inside of a race, you actually can do that inside of managed drivers right here. And if we went into the class or 360s, and we can see this is actually every driver that's in here. We're also able to change the defaults in here as well. So if you wanted to change those outside, and kind of as an aside, it pulls these default car numbers for point standings. So if you ever have a driver that doesn't have a point stand, like a car number in their point standings, check inside of the managed drivers because that's where it's going to be using that is that default car number. Anyway, let's go back to the race. We have a list of all of the drivers here. It's kind of a long list, so we can sort by first name, last name, or car number here. So let's do that. We're going to sort here. And we're going to see a few things about our driver. So we have that default car number. It's pulling in from that managed drivers for us. We can see that the system's drawing a number for him, the 95. So kind of tough luck for him. We have an owner in the system for him as well. It looks like it's using a default owner. We can change that in here. Hit that magnifying glass. We can see all the owners that he's used in the past. We can view all of our owners or create a team here. Team and owner are going to be the same in the system for us. So you can use either or. Either or is the same, so you're fine there. I have the payout going to that, so when we create checks or when we apply the payments, it'll keep track of that for that spec racing there. We have his transponder by default. Looks like he owns his own. It's the 1005. We can see a few other things here. We see his age. He has claimed his profile. We have an address in on file for him. Might have got that a few different places. Online registration is the easiest way to do that. And we're also able to see if they've done online registration, or if this was a sanctioned event, you could see if it was sanctioned with USRA or with SOTA, you actually see the confirmed membership here. So it'll actually um, show that for us. So it'll also, if it was a sanctioned event, and he didn't have a license, it'll warn us several different ways. So it'll make it very clear that that person doesn't have a license. And if we need to, you could do either what's called a membership bypass or a temporary license. So the difference is that a temporary license would be if they're just going to be racing that one show. A membership bypass would be if they've bought their license, it just hasn't been processed yet. So make sure you're using the correct one. They use that for accounting purposes there at the sanction level. So they really wanted me to make sure and um, make sure that you knew to use that correct one there. The last thing here is this lineup override. Um, so this lineup override, uh, we can set the driver to go to the back of all heats or the back of all races. So this driver drew a 95. He's probably not starting up front anytime soon. But if we wanted to guarantee that he didn't, we could start him at the back of the races, and regardless of what everyone else draws, it'll move him all the way back there. Um, so you can set him to the back there, or the back of all races. So if they show up late, or if you just don't like him, you could set him to the back. He'll have his own special little icon there available. So we can keep this going. I do see that we do have some questions. I will get to those here um, when they're relevant. I'll go back and answer all the questions that people ask me. Uh, so I did have a question. When I try to change a car's owner to a new owner or separate owner, it never saves. So let's do that. We'll find someone who has a car owner in the system. I believe Biff. Nope, Matt does. So let's change it. So we changed it to a brand new owner. We can do that. So I'll change to hot dog racing. Sounds like fun. In this case, we'll want to add a new car. That 01 car. And then once you add it, you just make sure that you click it here and it'll update. So when it updates, when you add a new car, it'll update that there. Or let's say we wanted to switch back, we could do that here. And just make sure that when you're switching that it's going to, like if this was permanent, so if he's always going to race with hot dog racing, to set that default. So if you set it as that default, it will keep for the next date. It's not going to click it automatically though if you switch it. So to test it out, we'll have Matt here. I think we're racing 360s. And it goes back to hot dog racing. So as long as you select it to go by default, it will remember that and change it or keep it the same there. So you can see that. Just make sure that you have that default button selected there. So we can keep going. Let's add some more drivers in to not very fun of a race. So other ways that we can add entries is to import from a previous race. So So if we had a 2-day show, for example, Friday into Saturday, we could actually copy over the drivers that race there. So if I wanted to copy over their pills and their transponder number, I could do that. This is the view if we had them draw, or the system draw. That is the luckiest I've drawn all day. So we have that updated here. If we need to put in the rented here, you can do that as well. Other ways we can enter in drivers is to do the search. So if we had a driver, if we had a driver that wasn't in the system at all, you could find them in the system. If they exist, you can create them in here. You're also able to create a brand new driver if they don't exist. Some things I'll warn about that. Try not to do it if at all possible. If there is a driver that already exists in the system that meets that. So, if there's a Charles ground, if he goes by Charles, make sure you're doing that instead of Chuck. Make sure that if you do need to change the hometown, we can do that in the manage drivers. We don't need to create a new driver for that. So try to avoid creating new drivers if at all possible. That's it's not the end of the world if you do create a new driver. We can fix it, but it does cause some issues for the driver. If you're doing things like point average lineup, it will affect that. It will split up your points, split up payments, cause a little bit of headaches. So you can do that there. So make sure you're avoiding that. A good way to avoid that is to do the scan barcode right up here. So the scan barcode, there's a couple different places a driver can get a barcode to scan in. Sanctions will give those cards out to your drivers as they register, as they get a license, they'll have one. Or they can claim their profile, which they can do for free, MyRacePass.com, and it'll be on the app. So they can pull that up there on the app and it'll be there. So I recommend that. Driver can only have the one profile there, so it'll save a lot of time too, because that scanning goes pretty quick. The last way is to do the speed entry button. With that, as long as you don't have a duplicate car number or a duplicate transponder number, it'll check them in. You can see it's drawing them all for me, so it works pretty quick. Where did I go for the previous, to copy from a previous, right here. Import from previous nights all the way at the bottom, down there. I'll enter in those transponder numbers now. If I don't do that, it's not going to pick them up on those results. We want to make sure we're doing that there. So if you do have any questions, Alt and H, the place to do that. Again, answering every question that people have. Again, if I haven't answered those questions for you, I will get back to them. We do have I do have time allotted here for me to answer questions that folks have. Let's move right along though. We'll move to the races. From here, we can copy previous race setups that we've done in the past. So if I always do this kind of race when I have 10 drivers, I can do that. I could pull in a special. See, I did this one with the dash. But we'll click add races. We can add in features, heats, dashes, qualifying specials, and hot laps. We can go all the way down to a Z feature if we wanted to. So I'm going to do one heat and one A feature. Put in the laps that we'd like to do. I'm going to go to tech and add. And when I do that, it'll ask me what I want to do about my transfers. Now, this is the most important thing to do on this page. This is going to be who's moving on to the A features, who's moving on to the Bs, things like that. So make sure you have that set. I'm just going to send everybody out of the race to the A feature, but if you had a different sort of setup, you can either do per race, which will take that amount out of each race, or from group, which will take that specific number out of the whole set of races. So normally you do the from group here for passing points. From here, we can change the name of the race right here. We can put in sponsors, all different other kinds of things. We can put in how many drivers per row we'd like to do. We can do 1, 2, or 3 wide. It's going to default to 2 most of the time. And we could also add more races of the same type. So we could add more heats or more A features. If I felt the need, I could do a B feature by just clicking the add race. And it'll let me add that. So I could just add a B feature, for example. Once we have our transfers, how we'd like them, we can go into our lineups. From here, we could do a couple different things. So I could just click how I'd like the drivers to go. I could move them around here. A lot of different ways I could move them in between races. But a faster way to do that would be to hit the calculate lineups. I've gone ahead in the settings, lineup settings, and picked the lineups that I'm more likely to use. But I can just hit the, do heat from pill draw today. That'll calculate that out. When I did that, since the race was set to go to public, it will go to the MyRacePass app. So fans and drivers can view the app for free. It will show those lineups, the results, the points, all of that will be free for them to see. If you're using the transponders, they can do the transponder and they can view the transponder data. If they get an app subscription, that'd be $7.99 for the year. We also can see the driver that I sent to the back has their own special little icon there. So we sent him all the way to the back. We can share this to our Facebook and Twitter page too. And also if you have a website through MyRacePass, it will update the website side of things as well. Let's go into MRP Live now and we'll send lineups. Let's say the lineups are sent. We can go into our assignments page here. And then this is an old race. You will clean out your yours a little bit better than I will. And we'll be able to start the race. And we'll go to MRP Live and we can take a look at that here. So inside MRP Live, this would be what a fan would see if they're using that on their phone. I have this set up here so that I can take a look. We have a transfer line. So that's another great reason to set the transfers. It'll show here. Generally, when I'm in the tower with the race, I have this up just so that I can detect anything that's going off or going wrong. We can actually even click drivers and see where they are. This is exactly the same as what a fan would see. So I set the laps to that to 5, so it auto finished it for me. And when I hit stop, that'll be its cue to send the lineups over back to MyRacePass. So we can go into our results. We'll have our latest pending race. Click it, and it'll import all of that over. From here, we can set them as it did not finish, did not start, disqualified, black flagged, and we also can set them as no passing points from here as well. Again, we can share this to Facebook and Twitter. When we hit save as completed, that will share and update that in on the app. It'll update. If you have a website through MyRacePass, it'll update the website for you as well. You're also able to save this a few other ways if you need to by clicking this arrow here. You can save it as in progress or unofficial results. But make sure you hit save as completed. That's going to be the way that you let the system know that that race is done, ready to move on. So we can go into our lineups and create our A feature. For me, I will do that based on, let's just do it straight up based on the heats and Bs. You'll just select the one you want to use. And again, just going to update for you. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to switch to orbits right now. So folks who have orbits can see how you set up MyRacePass live with that. You probably won't do this in the middle of race night, but it's pretty easy to set up. So let's get that going. So we'll switch it over to orbits, and inside of the scoreboard settings is where we're going to find what we're copying over. So we have the IP address right here. You can put that into here. The TCP IP port, we're going to copy the number that it has here and put that into MRP Live. Same thing, if you use the launch from web, it'll pull that over, or we can copy and paste it into here. And then the assignments path, I have a spot on my desktop where I save all of the assignments. You can put this anywhere that you want. I just have it on my desktop in a separate folder, so I have everything organized. Once I do that, I can hit connect. It'll connect that for me. And then when we send the lineups, say the lineups are sent, we can go into our registration and import groups and runs. Import the runs file. And it'll have that race for us up here. So I'm going to go into the timing. I have to use this track simulator, but the same sort of rules apply. So inside of here, we'll see as the cars are going around, it'll update that there. So as the cars go through, yep, see that it's updating, and then we can actually follow along right there. So I'm gonna throw the checkered here. It's a pretty short A feature, all things considered. They're just getting faster every year. So just stop it here. And again, as soon as we hit the stop button right here, stop that timing, and I'll ask if we want to do it. As soon as we do, that'll send the results over. The latest pending race. We'll pull that over, and it's good to go. And take a look here. We can move drivers around. Save is completed. We got a completed race. From here, we can go into our points and pay. Before the race started, I went into points pay schemes here, and I updated the different points and pay rubrics that I'm going to use. The system remembers the ones that I'm more likely to use for each class, so it's done that for me. I'm going to switch it up here. And as soon as I hit add, then it's going to add all of the points and pay based on what I had selected. So got that updated. We can make adjustments here, add or remove. We're also able to create payments. Make sure you do that. Use the create payments down here. That'll work towards end of the year reports. If you'd like, you can print checks and create checks down at the bottom. Enter in a check number and create. The drivers that we have addresses for, it will update those addresses. We have also the ability to export this to QuickBooks, the desktop version of QuickBooks, and we can print mailing labels from here now as well. That's something that just happened. From here, we also have various reports to go over, transponder lists, lineups, points and pay, a lot of other reports that you can use to keep track of things per night. And then this over here is the more yearly style reports. So if you have any questions about anything went over, now is the time to do so. You can hit Alt and H to bring up the window and be where I'm going to answer questions about anything there. Again, it's your time to do so. So I have some questions I'm going to get back on. So I had a question more about the managed drivers to go over some of the different things inside of managed drivers. So this is my managed drivers page. You'll see that I have a lot of different, or a lot of the same driver. These aren't duplicates. This is just each class that they race. My drivers are real, real go-getters. So you can actually change all of these. We also can manage the big list. So if, let's say that this would be Biff Beef Jr., is no longer racing. Let's say he just retired or he gave up, just didn't want to do it anymore. We can actually set him to disabled or archived, or just remove him from the list. So I would always say that pending is someone that might come back. Disabled is and archived are going to be, archived is going to be somebody that's, I generally save that for people who retired or things like that. When you do that, anybody that's not set to active won't appear on that big list of drivers. So if they, every driver that's active on here shows up on the entry list in the various lists they have. And then also, as I said, it shows the default car number. That's what it shows on the points page for the driver as well. Some other things you can do is assign hard cards here. If you have them, you're available to do it. You can print a big roster of drivers. There's some reporting here that you can do. You're also able to click on a driver, and if they hadn't claimed their profile, you're able to do the name city change, and that'll put in a request to change their hometown, which is why if you have a driver that has a incorrect hometown, say they moved, you just be able to use that to request a hometown change. There. All right. Has there any been talk about direct deposit for drivers' checks? You can select that they did use direct deposit. I can do that. So that's an option. If you want to select that, we don't handle the direct depositing of those. Is there a report where we can customize everything? It depends on what specifically you need. So different reports are going to be for different things. So, but there's different reports that you can use that will customize for the pay. So this one we can remove points, hometown, car number, things like that. I guess I'd need a little bit more information as to what you were looking for to answer that, but there are reports where you can remove columns and add and subtract and things like that. Can I change a driver's address in the system, or do they have to do that? Either or, actually. So if you're using online registration and a driver submits a new registration and you confirm them, it'll update the address on file inside the contact list. You also can go into the entry list here, and inside the entry list, there's the contact information that's available. Same with owner information. You can actually update that. So you can actually update that here inside of the entry list if you knew that that's what was going to needed to be done that night. You could update it here. You also can update it inside of the contact list inside of season management. So inside contact list, season management, all of these is where you can update it, and that'll update it directly as well. So if you knew it ahead of time, you could do it there too. So Or like I said, a driver can complete another online registration and it'll go off of the last confirmed online registration that they had. So I guess to answer the initial question is both. So it depends on how you want to do it. So they could do it or you could do it. Either way will work. There's more than one way. There's more than one way to do that. Also inside of season management, we have the points page here. This is something that I've been showing off the last few days. But inside the points page, inside of season management, once you have your points standings available, this is a very good tool that you can use to do some auditing of different information. So I have I can see at a glance all of the earnings, all of the points that have been done as of this last date. We can even go to my 360s so you can see it's updated right as of now. We can click on our driver. We're able to see where all these points came from, so I can actually double check, and this looks way out of whack. So if his points seemed really high, we could take a look at it and see maybe that's the problem there. You can actually see the events that are included versus not included. So if it seems low, you can see that I didn't apply points to an event on the 19th, so it's not counted in this big list. We also can filter the standings as of specific dates. So if I wanted to see what the points looked like several weeks ago, we could do it there too. So it's a really great place to use. I use it a lot actually. So to pull back the curtain there, I use that a ton. So if you ever say that you feel like your points aren't exactly where you think they should be, I always just look at that person. It's a great spot to do it. It goes by class. It'll actually go by schedule too. So you can use that. We have reports that go over all of that as well, but I just use that because it's a little bit faster for me to kind of visualize all the information from here. And also, it's similar to what fans would see. They actually don't see the earnings. So I know some folks are like, do the fans get to see the earnings? They don't. No one gets to see that but you. But they see the points this side of things. And then, like I said, this is that default car number. We also can see by owner too. So if we had applied points to our owners up here or pay to the owners, we can do that. And actually, when we click on it, we can see where the owners are getting all of the funds and why it came up with what it did. So, without naming names, I had somebody who said, well, this person should have earned this much, but they were able to find where they didn't pay an owner or where they didn't have the owners listed as being paid. And they were able to find that in there. Some folks might also have noticed that there is a bullhorn here. So we actually have added that in very, very recently, within the last 12 hours. So while I've been at work, this has been added in. What this does is, so some of you have been to some of the webinars, might have noticed that I went over some of the different push notifications that we could do. So rain out notifications, things like that for people who favorited the track inside of the MyRacePass app. So here, you're able to see exactly, which push notifications you've sent out from your track. And then we're also able to see who did it. So in this case, who sent out those notifications, who opened those notifications, or what percentage of people opened those notifications. So you can see what's successful. So some of these are news articles. I got a rain out here. These are when my track went live. So you can see when I used MRP Live, you can see that. And so fans who have my track favorited are able to view all of these. And we can see those percentages there. So you can see a lot of different information here. So that's a very new feature. You're able to filter out and do more of a deep dive into what's been going on inside of the app. So really, I'd recommend this year especially, all years really, telling your fans to go get the MyRacePass app. Tell them to favorite your track, because then they'll get really quick. They can get the notifications for things like rainouts, get your news articles, get they're closer than ever being notified about all these things. And the push notifications, again, to let you in on that. That's something that will probably be expanded here in the future. So that is an area that we're really excited about here, is those push notifications and tracking those, and what those can do for the promotional side of things inside of MyRacePass. But if you have any questions about anything there, or any other questions, feel free to ask those as well. Did get someone wanted to ask about MRP Insider. So MRP Insider lets you deep dive into points in a much bigger degree. So if you've claimed the track and you are paying for the subscription, you'll actually get MRP Live for free if you're using that same email. I'm going to go here to WSOTA so that I can show you how this is going to work. So I'm going to go to the 2019 national points. So inside the app, or here inside, I can actually click on specific people and get more insider data. So I actually don't have horses in the race, so, but I'm just going to click on specific people, and we can actually see, using MR Insider, we can see more information about all this here. So exactly what was excluded. We can go pretty deep into all of this for those, especially for WSOTA. You can see that here for USRA, and always expanding out. It's an awesome tool for your drivers to use, so they can see where's all their points coming from. So it looks like this guy gets a lot of his points in the A feature, and 10% of his points in show up. We can see more about that, really, where all of these are. It's a really great tool for drivers, for fans, people that are really interested in the statistical side of things, and your driver's gonna like that. So you can see there. So see all that. So you can see here even events that he dropped. So that wouldn't be something that a driver would normally be able to see. Normally he'd just see his points, the big total. He wouldn't see all this breakdown. And again, you get it if you've claimed the profile for the track and you have a subscription. You get that as part of your plan. For your drivers, I believe it's around $30 for the year. So pretty reasonable. Less than Netflix for the year. But it's just another thing that your drivers have access to. If you have questions about, it doesn't have to be anything about I've gone over here as well. This is your time. I'm going to leave it open for questions. So feel free to ask away. It's your time to ask. I will be happy to do so. So we have 2 more webinars available. Those are going to be Thursday, March the 12th. We're going to have the 5:30 and 6:45. Those are the final 2 that we have planned on the books for 2020. We're going to be going over MRP Live, Westhold and MyLapse integration, MRP Live troubleshooting, MRP Live uploads, common questions. It should be a lot of fun. Should be really good. I'm excited about that. Again, those are going to be the same time here on Thursday, 5:30 and 6:45, going over all that. Might open it up to even more questions from you guys, and those are going to be the webinars that are available. We'll also probably be doing the drawing for attendance. We did hit those 8 webinars there. We'd be put into those drawings for that drawing, excuse me, for the $5.99 off 2021. I go through here, see if there's any other questions. If you have, again, any questions, it is the time to do it. Are the previous webinars are available on YouTube? Yes, all of the previous webinars, with the exclusion of the one that just happened a couple hours ago, are up on YouTube right now. You can find that on our YouTube page, or on your admin side. You can go right here. We have a playlist that goes over all of those. And the page that you came here for, came into go into the webinar, all of the individual ones are available here as well. So we've linked those up, and those will probably get linked up here. The ones from yesterday, or the ones from today rather, will be up probably some point tomorrow morning. I try to get those up before noon. But again, I'm leaving it open for questions. If you do have any questions, it is your time to ask. Alt and H is the place to do that. And I'll keep it open for the next few minutes, unless people have unless people don't have any questions. Again, you can also message me privately through the use of that chat window if you don't want me to name names or anything like that. We can keep it anonymous. So something else too is you also have this uploads inside of MRP Live, so I can actually see all of the other uploads. So you can see my track's been pretty busy. And if you ever see any pending, so if you see any that haven't gone through, those will be the pending there, so they'll hold inside of this. Make sure you're using the most current version of MRP Live too. We've updated that since last season. So if you haven't done that, haven't gone in there and updated it, feel free to take a look. Make sure you have the most current version. You can just download it again from that link inside of Race Management. Reinstall it. That'll be the most current, up-to-date version. It's not going to be any different than what you guys were used to, but we've done a few updates behind the scenes as well. Yep, so you can do that. You also can follow along too on the next few webinars and on the app. So if you follow in your favorite track, you can see a lot of the things there. So just keep an eye out there. And again, leave it open for a little bit longer if folks have any questions. So do let us know. Otherwise, I'll be happy to answer any questions you all have. Well, it's been great speaking with you guys here this week. Again, I'll be doing the last webinars of 2020. In Thursday night, 5:30 and 6:45. So we'll be doing those. No, I am not banning anybody. So those last two webinars will be then. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of the night. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at support@myracepass.com, or you can view the knowledge base articles inside of the question mark down here at the bottom. It's been great speaking with y'all. Have a great rest of the night.